Check one, two. Hello and welcome to Left Coast Live. I am your host, Dieter McBusiness, America's favorite white Anglo-Saxon Protestant gone West Coastal, joined as always by the one and only Stat Pat, stateless patriot of the Central Valley. We are California lefties talking to you about national politics as well as some local stuff sprinkled in. But mostly today, it's big time, big ticket items. Stat Pat. We
Yeah.
got a lot to talk about. We're going to finish the episode, just so everyone knows, with a little bit talking about the Super Bowl and also maybe reacting to my latest essay, which premiered earlier tonight.
hmm
If you haven't got a chance to watch that, just stick around and we'll react to it here. But for now, Stapat, how are you doing? What's on your mind?
Um, relatively well. I mean, given the circumstances of so many pressing things, I I guess the main thing on my mind is just how we need to throw Cash Patel and Pam Bondi in jail immediately, and the fact that Maxwell just isn't saying a damn word when I mean, she was tied to the entire goddamn network. Crazy times indeed, anonymous bastard. Thank you for joining in as always.
Yeah, the Epstein files just keep getting better and better. I mean, her pleading the fifth like that, it's like this is just so obvious.
Right.
It just, it just, it's just so obvious what was going on here,
Yeah.
and
And now
I just,
Rokana naming six co-conspirators recently. That
yeah,
and
yeah,
not to mention, yeah, him and I can't sing his praises enough,
Massey,
especially Thomas Massey as well. Yeah,
yeah,
they're genuinely American heroes in every sense of the word. Um, I guess Massey has now has a flash drive of all the unredacted files. I mean, I've seen some claims of that here and there, but he's just trying to throw whatever excuse me at the wall and seeing if it sticks, seeing if it gets the establishment to comply because there's been multiple violations of the um, Epstein Transparency Act so far.
yeah. It seems like it's just the country who care, part of the country. Hold on a second.
hmm
Did you guys see the part of the files about H. George H.W. Bush cannibalizing people?
I did see that. Yeah, yeah. Him. It was he was mentioned alongside Henry Kissinger and George Soros, and it's yeah, it's one of the worst things I've ever fucking read in my life. Literally, stripping
Can't all
infant.
be true, right? I hope it's not all true. It can't all be true.
I mean, here's hoping, right? But it's not the only mention of cannibalism in the files. That's for damn sure. It's it was from what I understand, that particular tidbit was from a court case, or some sort of case file, where the witness basically saw. I think it was specifically Bush Senior was raping a kid, and there was also cannibalism of infants present at the same time. Yeah, it's some of the worst shit I've ever had the displeasure of learning about. And
Yeah, you can tell by my reaction that I've been avoiding it.
yeah, yeah, I mean when it first broke, when we first did that show last week, I think it was um or maybe it was the week just before that, I forget. And it was really like just a drop in the bucket. I didn't. I spared the audience and you most of the gruesome details. Of course, there's a lot that we revealed in that episode and that we talked about and shit, but um, it goes super deep and a lot of like I've seen so many accounts, so many people being like, I can't believe all the crazy lunatic conspiracy theorists were all right. They were right. We are controlled by a cabal of pedophilic rapist cannibals, and they're all billionaires and wealthy power brokers and financiers and all kinds of shit. It's fucking real. It's insane.
Yeah, but not like Q, not like QAnon with the Jewish space lasers and stuff like that.
Well, the thing
But
is, Q is
and
actually
Pizzagate and whatever.
that was actually all created by Epstein's associates. There, so Moot, I believe, was the name of the founder, or at least maybe owner at the time of 4chan. And after a meeting with Moot, Epstein suggested, I believe it was revealed in some messages, that he create the, I think it was poll. It was a like a thread, um, a chat board, basically. And from poll came the most, I guess, infamous conspiracy theories among the alt right of the 2010s, which included Pizzagate, Gamergate, even aspects of Russiagate, and even QAnon as well. Go ahead.
Well, that's interesting. I mean,
Yeah,
like
yeah, no, like he
it's
had a
gonna.
hand in the
It's interesting to
creation
see
of the
what
of like all
what a
the.
mess.
No, for real. It's actually like it's more insane the more you think about it, because it really came down to, let's create a psyop. I mean, it's I mean, all these people that he met with, all these uh and everybody involved, there really was serious coordination in how to trick a whole lot of people into essentially voting for Donald Trump. Because the same message board that was basically created by Epstein, like, this would be a great tool to use to issue mass um, uh, manipulation, you know, and if because the thing is, they knew the actual truth, so there was truth behind Pizzagate and the abduction and defiling of children, and that was all conspiracized, I guess you could say, in the Pizzagate shit, through 4chan, through the poll message board. But the caveat, because QAnon was it progressed to what happened in 2021 with Jan 6 and everything. Trust the plan, where we go one, we go all. That was all coordinated through either Epstein or people really close to Epstein, because the through line with all of it, even though, like, of course, all of it, it's like wacko shit, but it's just to keep manipulating people, keep them in line. The through line was always, and Trump's going to save us. Trump's going to reveal it all. He is the savior. He's going after the deep state. He's the man. Trust the plan. You know,
Yeah.
it's that's probably like been the biggest thing that made me just kind of lose my mind recently, when I was like, I mean, my whole life has been a fucking lie. The entire far right, the alt right, everything that they have believed without evidence, without anything concrete and substantial to base their um, ideals and claims on. Apparently, all that shit was fucking real. You know?
Yeah, and what I've kind of realized, first of all, let's get to some chats real quick.
Hmm.
Eco Socialist, how do you bury the truth tree? Hide it in a forest of lies. I thought that was particularly insightful and relevant to what you were just saying.
Big time.
And then ABS, Anonymous Bastard, Epstein and the elites basically created an entire social and political global fascist movement. The harm these people have done to us and all generations on a global scale cannot be overstated enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not hyperbole anymore. It's here. But here's
Yeah.
my suspicions about power.
Hmm.
And my experience with power is just by way of socializing with people who have a lot of money and by extension power.
Yeah.
Um, and then in corporate America, that kind of power. But I'm not, you know, I didn't know. Here's what I thought, and then here's what we're finding out. Right.
Hmm.
I thought that the consolidation of power in this country was pretty small. I thought it was maybe a few thousand people. But this is demonstrating that it was much smaller and has been much smaller for a really long time. They've played both sides of the political aisle.
Hmm.
They know how to get in with
Yep.
whoever's in power. They have this guy Epstein is just the most amazing high society social node in the history of baby boomer America.
Yeah.
And that's the ugly truth that their generation is going to have to also wear. But
Yeah.
enough about the boomers. Let's talk about Epstein again.
Yeah, even
But
Howard Lutnick was like, he's the most, he's the greatest blackmailer on earth,
yeah,
and he couldn't get more true than that, honestly. And you see, like, I agree that it was a lot more concentrated. Like, I do like when it comes to Epstein and his associates and the people that he associated with, and the way that they were able to dictate so much policy, so much coordination, so much of the narrative. Whether it be um, the Jewish supremacism and Israeli policy, and legal battles, and even advice here and there. Like, so many fucking people went to Epstein, and that's why I think, like, in a way, it was a lot more smaller in concentration, but also it's a lot grander in scale because of how much money is involved to keep something like that flowing, keep it operating. Because even though the closer to the top you get, the more you know the truth, a narrative has to be spun for the people just a couple rungs below. So that way they keep on hyping up capitalism and defending conservatism, and Israel's our greatest ally, and we need to fight this war or that war, or look, shiny, this culture war nonsense that doesn't fucking
right.
matter. Be distracted by that. All of that was to protect the
It's
billionaire class.
the right wing
Still
magic
is.
trick, dude.
Yeah.
Like we knew the method, right? Like I
Hmm.
always tell people,
Yeah.
watch my essays and like don't think of me as telling you anything you don't necessarily already know. You
Hmm.
just haven't thought about it long enough.
Yes.
You just haven't like thought it through.
Hmm.
And when you actually think about these problems that we're having in our society and you think it through, you end up in the same place every time.
It's always the rich. It's always
It's
the ultra wealthy.
greed.
It is. Yeah.
We are a drug addict and
Yes.
our addiction is greed. And we keep relapsing over and over and over.
Yeah.
And we change drugs, right? With the Republicans, it's cocaine. With Democrats, it's weed. Like, it's like
Yeah.
but it's still capitalism.
Yeah.
It's still capitalism. It's still, and here's like how, because it's going to take some years, if not decades, to get this country to be where you and I want it to be.
Hmm.
So I think in terms of the long-term vision, you have to give people an understanding that we're not against small businesses. We're not against entrepreneurialism. We're against corporations. We're
Hmm.
against the consolidation of power within our society. It's very dangerous for the most powerful nation in the world to be divided up against what, a handful of media conglomerates, some banks. some healthcare company, life sciences companies, pharmaceutical companies, health insurance companies. You know, these are the enemies of
Yeah,
America. These are the mechanisms by which corporate America has raped our economy.
big
And
time.
I do not hesitate to use that word. They have raped our economy since the 70s. You
Yes.
know, and if you want to get, if you want to do the 1980 line of demarcation, you can. But you
Mhm.
go back and you look at those tax rates that they had in the 50s under Eisenhower, and you're just like, your argument for lower taxes for the rich and trickle down economics, like it's failed like 20 times.
Yeah,
So shut up.
and it's like the reason that idea, that policy is so consistent, that policy of greed, so to speak. Um, you know, uh, Rejecting the idea that the ultra wealthy need to pay more in taxes, which they absolutely, unquestionably, without a doubt, need to, for the sake of the longevity of our country, if fucking anything. It's also the fact that, like, a lot of these people take their orders from up top, and like, it's the Epstein class.
Oh
That's
yeah, I
essentially
don't
it.
blame the I
Yeah.
don't blame the everyday workers at these corporations. You can't, otherwise you're saying all these,
No, of course. Yeah.
millions. You're saying millions of people
No. Well, I
are as guilty as the institution that they serve. This isn't
no.
Nuremberg yet. No, Nuremberg is for people like Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, Steve
Hmm.
Bannon, Stephen Miller,
Hmm.
JD Vance.
Chrissy Noam,
That's
Russell
Christina.
Vaught.
Oh, Christina is probably my personal favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gonna
Awful.
get punished.
No, of
And that's,
course.
I think, like I was talking in the WhatsApp with some of my old friends, and I don't necessarily want the country to go here, but it does seem like America doesn't want to just stop MAGA. They want to hurt MAGA.
Yeah.
They don't want to just get up off the ground and get in the bully's face and say no more, leave me alone. They want to get in the bully's face and then jack him in the face and knock him on his ass.
I do think.
And then when he's down, kick him in the teeth.
Mm,
I mean, that's what I think a lot of leftists want. And I'm not saying that to inspire people. Like I said,
yeah. No.
it's a road it's a road I don't want to go down.
Hmm.
But I think there will be a period of a long period, probably at least a decade, of the politics of social exclusion,
Hmm.
where if, for example, you wear a MAGA hat in Philadelphia, God help you, you're going to get your ass kicked,
Right.
right? That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about, like, what if someone, I think if there was a billionaire out there that, and they could do like the lefty Palantir system but instead of surveillance, it would be ID.
Hmm.
So if, let's say, you go to a restaurant, bar, club in New York, Boston, Philly, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, all these blue cities, okay?
Hmm.
Let's say you're going into a restaurant, bar, club, maybe even staying at a hotel, okay? You get there, they take your picture, or they just run your name, and they see if you either publicly or financially contributed to Trump. And then if you did, they refuse service.
Hmm.
Or you could have it like a reservation system, like a
Well.
green card, like a green card, where in these blue cities, if you are a DSA member or something, you get like, 10% off of your pizza and shit like that.
Right.
Uh,
I.
Almost
I.
like the military discount.
I think that's it. That's a better idea, a better route to go. Like, if you're a card carrying DSA member, it's just like, yeah, fuck yeah, you get a discount. I mean, fuck. I mean, that I really like that idea, honestly. But, like, I mean, utilizing. I'm reminded of the quote from Andor when Luthen says, "I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them." I mean, the idea that like
Yes.
Palantir,
Say that again.
I'm condemned to use the tools of my enemy to defeat them. It's a great quote from one of the
It's
greatest speeches
tools. It's
ever.
not weapons.
The tools of my enemy, yeah, yeah. So I
Yeah,
mean,
it's
like,
tools. Okay.
yeah, yeah. Um, it's yeah, fantastic speech, one of my favorites ever. But like because the future does seem to be going down the path of mass surveillance, just at a gigantic scale. If that's like public source, then I can definitely see a future where a lot of the more progressive pockets of America utilize that to what you're essentially describing it as discrimination. Because yeah, these people ruin this country and they shouldn't, they don't deserve to see, you know, they don't deserve the same, I guess, um luxuries that we do. I mean, it's probably like the most authoritarian I've probably ever sounded in my life, but I totally see like the notion, the idea, like where it's coming from, that anger, because we're all just so fucking pissed at this. And like I will say, like it does seem like it's too much right now. Like there's so much influence from MAGA over every aspect of our life. And without a doubt, like since the beginning of Trump's second term, there's been just an endless cavalcade of horribly regressive shit from the top down. Vosh made a really excellent point. Thank you, Socialist. I actually really like that quote as well. Andor is one of my favorite shows. Vosh made a great comment recently, because of the halftime show, and we'll probably touch on that a little bit. MAGA was so upset going into it. Like, they didn't want to see Bad Bunny. They had their own uh, pretend halftime show at Turning Points USA, which was entirely botted. Just total embarrassment. Vosh said MAGA is still really, really, really upset that they don't have cultural significance anymore. They had their moment,
Mm.
you know. Trump took office again. It was pandemonium, pull hair out, hair on fire shit, and they squandered it. It's been nothing but on a gigantic decline. And it's all their fault. Like they don't know how to um maintain a consistent narrative, because everything that they're doing is in total contrast to a lot of what they campaigned on. What they're doing right now is way too authoritarian, and
Mhm.
they're not. Everybody's kind of they're tired of not only the hypocrisy, but the going back on their economic promises, not delivering on those economic promises, especially because it's like, uh,
Inflation's bad.
yeah, it's like who I forget who says it. The old Democrat dude, James something. Like it's the economy, stupid.
Oh,
'Cause
Carville.
yeah, yeah, it's a tried and true thing, and it's so fucking real. And if even the most ardent
God, I hate that
supporters.
quote.
Right. I mean, it's true though. Like it really is true.
I never want to give James Carville any credit, though. He's because
Yeah, he's awful.
because of
That's
what he gave us
yeah,
Bill Clinton, and he keeps
yeah.
saying it's the far left, it's the far left, and it's like, nah, dude,
No,
fuck you,
yeah.
like no.
It's the fucking far right, and that's the thing. And
And it's the complicit neoliberal left.
yeah,
It's like
it's ties into your video. Yeah.
it's the establishment. That's those are the terms we win on, by the way. Is
Hmm.
if you get people in talking about establishment versus anti-establishment politics. If you can get them on that, it's like what I was saying in previous episodes. If you can get people on policy, you can get them into progressivism. If you
Hmm.
can get them into binaries such as structural versus incremental change,
Yeah.
you can get them into progressivism. if you can get them on anti-establishment versus establishment politics, you
Mm-hmm.
can get them into progressivism. What is the vehicle for effective progressivism? The DSA.
Yes.
Okay. This is not like other shows where we just have ideas about how to make things better. We don't really have like calls to action.
Yeah.
Like I'm, and you speak for yourself, Stat Pat, but I'm a member of the DSA. I'm very involved in my local chapter and have been for a while. And my previous town that I lived in, just moved to the new town that I live in now.
Mm-hmm.
And um, it's it, man. Zoran's the sign of things to come.
Yes.
And people who think otherwise can fuck off and die because we need radical change. Like, is universal healthcare radical? Are we still having that conversation? Like, that conversation was left over from the fucking 90s. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't even, like, no one was even really talking about universal healthcare until Bernie. Like, Obama
Mhm.
said he was going to do something big with healthcare, but then he did incrementalism. And we'll see that talked about in my essay that we'll show later.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah, eco social. I want to catch up because she's really loyal. Solidarity with DSA, baby. Yep, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
She also said we just need to call it the CEOs. They need to go back to being paid the salaries of the 1970s. It is monstrous how much modern day CEOs are paid today. Yes, it's
Completely agree.
conservatives. The counter argument from a conservative would be the genie's out of the bottle. Once you get to that threshold of income, you can't really bring it back down. But
Yeah.
that's bullshit.
Right.
And then naming and shaming fascist collaborators as part of a truth and rebuilding, not reconciliation. I will never forgive fascist collaborators commission.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is in line with me and my advocacy for social punishment. And I know, like, every, I know that's like tough word choice. Like, people are always going to want me to soften my expression, but I'm not going to because I think you need to punch really hard. Like, this is the Cobra Kai technique. This is not the like, wait to defend yourself kind of thing.
Right.
And this is part of one of my previous essays. I think it was Scapegoat Politics, where I say never forgive, never forget, never respect ever again. The respect is the problem. Why
Yeah.
do you respect a child throwing a temper tantrum? Of
Mm-hmm.
course not. Of course not. Well,
Right.
intellectually and emotionally, that is what MAGA trash are. And if it wasn't January 6th that did it for you, if it wasn't, I don't know, like the ICE raids and the ICE violence that
Mm-hmm.
did it for you, if it wasn't the Epstein files that did it for you, like you're gone.
Yeah.
You're gone. I don't
Yeah.
respect you. I
Right.
don't respect you. Like,
Yeah.
get out of my face. Like, I'm not telling you to go do harm to yourself, but just please don't vote. And don't
Please.
because you are not a competent citizen.
Yeah.
You are not a fully formed human being with respect to
Mm-hmm.
good citizens voting in their own interests.
Yeah.
Actually, that's what's ironic
Right.
is
I
that
mean,
they're
medium.
they're they're saying they'd rather say "f you" and vote against their own interests
Yeah.
than say, "Wait a second, let's try change," and
Literally.
actually, continue down a path of big time progressive change. A lot of it's people forgot their goddamn history.
Yep.
A lot of it people's called, but this is eco socialist. This is what I'm talking about here with that app she was talking about
Mm-hmm.
when she made that comment.
I do like the
Um,
idea of the Truth and Rebuilding Commission, like because once MAGA is gone and there actually are Democrats back in power, us like just establishing some sort of commission that does the work of getting out there and pointing out the fascist collaborators and the fascist figures of MAGA and deconstructing their entire worldview, and especially why it is incompatible with democracy and liberal values, the values of which this country was founded on. Not to mention incompatible with the Constitution, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and I don't know. My mind was just wandering, thinking about the creative opportunities to that a president of a progressive persuasion would have
Hmm.
in terms of communication tools.
Yeah.
You know, Like I actually think the country, or maybe just the executive, I don't know, maybe each branch, but there are a lot of politicians who have their own YouTube shows. Um,
Yeah,
it seems like I would be okay with a president that is like entitled in a good way in terms of their availability to the American public. For
yeah,
example, if a president feels like they need to go dark for a couple weeks to get some shit done that we are better off not knowing about, and then he comes up and says, "Okay, great, I got this deal." Like it's like a foreign policy thing or something,
mhm, right,
right? Like no problem with that. Like
yeah,
you don't see that. And
yeah,
then when they are visible, it would be cool to have creative communication experiences like the one that just came to me was, what if the president just picked out two members of Congress and like moderated a debate between the two of them and chimed in when he wanted to, but ultimately let them lead the conversation. Like
yes.
it's not hard to do these things now with with communication technology being what it is today.
At the very least, like have someone that doesn't make it all about themselves. You know, like we us, not me. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread, because it's like that really does turn people off. It's why there are certain establishment figures where it's like you're just full of the ego. Like
Yeah.
I don't care about anything you have to say because you're clearly demonstrating, if even if it's indirect, that you're just in this for yourself. You know,
Yeah.
that's not what being a political figure should be. That's not what being a representative of the people should be. You should be of the people, not for yourself.
Yeah, but our politics are driven by the for-profit motive, just like our economy.
Yeah, not to mention like cult of personality, especially in the age of Trump.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's right. Let's see. So Trump's approval polls I checked today, they're not as bad as like Kalinske was saying. Kalinske was saying he was in like the 30s, like 36 or something. He's
hmm
actually at like 41 to 55 for approval.
What's
Um,
the average?
that is the average.
Oh, really? Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I think that's why it's higher than what Kalinske quoted, because I think Kalinske quoted the most recent poll.
hmm
So yeah, it's way below what Biden was at this point in his term, and it's below what
Yeah,
Trump was in his first term.
yeah,
So it's all happening. It's just taking time. We got to stay on top of it as content creators and you know aspiring truth tellers to make sure
right.
that people have the rhetorical tools out there to really bring the fight to MAGA, not just for the midterms, but for 2028, 2032, and beyond.
Yeah,
This is a war, and it is going to be a decades long war. We need to
yeah,
cycle through some generations so that people grow up educated. MAGA and neoliberalism have caused so much harm. So going dark woke in order to reverse all the harms and to set the USA on a completely new path will be needed. He's talking about me and the presidency working in the dark. Did you guys
yeah.
hear about Discord now going to do the? No, I did not think. No, I did not hear
Yep,
about that.
yep.
That's annoying.
Yeah,
That's weird.
it's awful. Yeah, it's such a bad idea. It's going to just drive the user base from the app like it does with any service or app or social media site or whatever that decides to announce that they're going to adopt this kind of technology. It's so unfucking necessary, and we know what they're doing. Like it's
Yeah.
not to protect children. Like that. Like it should be up to the
Well, it's
parents.
to
It should.
track data. It's to track people,
Yeah,
isn't it?
literally. Yeah. Like and
It's
like
to track people.
the only very like with this technology, you have to uh, either upload ID or do a routine, you know, facial picture, and I think they even do it 3D too. So it's like you have to prove that you're not a that you're not underage. They have like an age uh like sensing AI that they're planning on implementing as well. The actual setting that they're planning on turning every account into new or existing is team by default. So like
Hmm.
automatically the app thinks that you are a teenager running that account until you can prove
Prove
otherwise.
otherwise.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it's fucked up.
All right. Great. Let's get it. Make sure. I want to make sure we take care of the chat when they engage because it's fun. It keeps them stick around. Baltazar says Kulinski doesn't regularly check data before giving his opinions. One of his many faults.
Sure,
Yeah, I mean, Kulinski is one of my favorites.
me too.
Is he as polished as he could be? No, just look at his hair. Sorry, Kyle. I want to be your buddy, but I am something of an expert in aesthetics, and I know image really well. And the hair has not been working for you for a really long time. And keep clean shaven, dude. Keep
Yeah.
the young look, man. Hang on to that youth while you have it, fool.
Right, right,
And
yeah.
don't let anyone see that ink you got underneath your shirts. All right.
Yeah,
Eco
Kulinski's great.
socialists. I worry that Americans expect quick fixes, that everything will be okay in 20. Yeah, I agreed. Agreed.
Yeah,
Baltazar again. MAGA is just the endpoint of the GOP's direction from Reagan on. Yes, we've talked about that. And if you go check out my essays, Baltazar, I think you'd really enjoy them. They talk a lot about
yes, yes.
the devolution of Reaganism into present day MAGA trash fascism. So check out my essays, and if you like them, man, please share them with other people that you know because that's my pride and joy is my essays. These live streams are fun. I love them. I love talking with Stat Pat and my boy Alex from Devil's Advocate Productions by way of this space. But 4 o'clock show Pacific tomorrow, right? About tomorrow, by the way. But yeah, check out the essays, man. All right, so eco socialist. The GOP was always destined for this endpoint and cannot be allowed to attempt to return to the shadows after Trump dies or is unseated.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I truly do believe that they're going to be just completely lost once he's gone. I think the forces behind like JD Vance are counting on it, so that way because they think that like, oh, with if Trump just gets the fuck out of the way, we can basically implement accelerationism, make this country into a techno feudalist hellscape as fast as possible. Who knows how successful they're going to be because you do need cooperation from institutions and a lot like for example, a lot of people are obviously very nervous about the Trump administration's attempts to cancel the midterms. He's not going to cancel the midterms. He can't cancel the midterms. But what he can do is basically do like mass intimidation, or at least he's going to try to. Like they want to. I've seen some theories around there where out there in the social media sphere. I've seen on Instagram and Twitter and shit. They want to basically claim mass fraud and go into various states, seize the voting machines, and claim that there was fuckery, I guess you could say, and then basically start issuing certain orders to uh, basically keep the results of the election in limbo forever.
right.
But then again, like who knows how successful that's going to be because it requires on a lot of different variables all going 100% their way the entire way, and I just don't see that
Yeah,
happening unless something like something major and drastic happens, like some like a new 9/11 or some shit. But even then,
well,
like we
I
still
thought
vote. Uh-huh.
I thought our system was really tested in 2020 by Trump's attempts to steal that election,
Mm.
and everything held up. And I think a lot of things were reinforced, especially in even uh, blue or purple states.
Yeah, because the thing is, enough
But
people.
that was the encouraging. Hold on, that was the
Uh huh.
encouraging part was that the states do empower the federal government. So the
That's right.
system worked really well. And like you were just saying, in order to really rape the system, you need to go through multiple different levels. But the
Exactly.
counterpoint to this conversation is when in history has anyone ever voted their way out of fascism? Now, that's a little bit of the fallacy of ignorance,
Hmm.
because just because something hasn't happened doesn't mean it can't happen. For example,
Yeah.
going to the moon, right? Like, like, like a plane flying, a car, like these
Hmm.
things would never have been conceived of depending on which point in human history you want to pick.
Yeah.
So yeah, man,
Yeah.
I
I
just
mean,
wanted to.
there is like the anti-electoral aspect that is just a bit too pronounced on, I guess, like the tanky or anarchist left, which I get it. Like electoralism in general, adhering to what's up, reference frame, uh, adhering to the duopoly, the two party system. Like I get that there's like very little appeal in that. Like we talk about all the time, and I don't understand how I don't drive myself crazy because both parties are fucking awful, obviously. But I still cannot emphasize enough the importance of down ballot races, voting on propositions, local races, state races, because if anything, like if there is a way to vote fascism out, like you vote your way out of fascism, it is starting at the ground level and
Sure.
maintaining the integrity of the elections. I know it's a cliche at this point, but that really is fundamental to protect further slipping away. Like it's not going to be full on fascism as long as you're there to prevent it from happening. Just giving up and just being a fucking cynic, which way too many goddamn terminally online leftists are, is you're doing their work for them.
Another thing that we try to pride ourselves on with this show, and thank you to all the new people watching. Please subscribe,
Hmm.
so we can grow. But is we're not afraid to criticize the left. For example, my big issue with the left, I think I call it the left's narcissism, is equality. I think when and I'm talking about the double-edged sword of equality, because the good side is equal opportunity. That's what we want our society to be, an equal opportunity society.
Bingo.
We do not get there by using the frame of everyone is equal to with respect to political strategy,
Hmm.
okay, and who's cut out to actually deal with the public. For example, who are the policy wonks? In the military, not everyone's cut out to be a general or an admiral or a captain even.
Hmm.
So that's kind of where, like, based, just deriving, just playing off of you.
Yeah, everybody has their role to play. You're not going to
Right.
find people that knock it out of the park all the time. You need speakers, you need strategizers. Not everybody's going to be um, operating in the spotlight because not everybody is built for the spotlight.
Check this out. Red states going blue in special elections was not on Trump's bingo
That's
card.
been
Yes,
so
that's huge.
great.
Yeah, so
Honestly, I've been
so
watching that
heartening,
too. Yeah.
so optimistic. Yeah, see, this is what. So this is kind of the. Wait, hold on a second. Let me keep
like
going
like
here.
like
Read, read,
big
read, read,
swings. Trump
read this.
pressurizing red states to gerrymander the way to victory is now backfiring, which is delicious. Yes, literally, they may have dummy mandered Texas because the guy, the progressive Democrat who recently won a special election there, it was, I believe, like a 40-point swing, something huge like that. Um, the way they tried to gerrymander the districts in Texas was based on the 2024 electoral maps, which reflected a big surge in Latino support for Trump. A lot of Latino voters ended up going Republican. That support has fucking vanished, and they didn't account for that. So they just thought like enough Latino voters would just show up for the Republican again, and they were wrong. And yeah, it's just blew up right in their faces because
Yeah.
they just base it off of maps rather than being in touch with where their voters are right now, because he is like I think when it comes to uh, Latin voters, Latin American voters, when it comes to Trump, them supporting Trump, like no other demographic saw a bigger decline in
Swing,
their
yeah.
approval. Yeah, in their
Yeah,
approval
because
towards Trump.
they don't have generations of loyalty to the Republican Party.
Yeah. Hmm.
They just a guy from another part of California, a very rural part of California, explained it to me like this: the illegals, also respectfully known as undocumented workers, they get in the truck on their way to the job in the back of the truck, right? And what's playing for the driver? Fox News.
Yeah.
And they go and do their job, and what's playing at lunch and whatever, maybe even during while they're working?
Hmm.
Fox News, because that's what the owners like. That's what the
Yeah.
people that they're working for like. So they got
Yeah,
sucked
right,
in.
right. Yeah. Yeah, and then like it starts plaguing their algorithms and their social media feeds and shit, and then it's like it's that old adage, I didn't think the leopards were going to eat my face, because
Right.
like when you vote for the leopards eating people's faces party, like how we it I'm so like I'm so flustered because we see how this entire thing played out. We warned everybody from the beginning, like they're not just going to go after the criminals. Like they want everybody out. They want to like remove all undocumented immigrants, whether or not they're like uh, on crime rampages or anything like uh they're oh, this is something I actually learned recently. Um, there was a either a senator or a congressperson um, who put an amendment into I think this most recent funding bill for the government, and I think it included DHS funding, but it was just like a temporary funding thing. This representative or senator, I should have gotten the name, put an amendment in there saying ICE is not allowed to deport U.S. citizens. Simple thing. Yeah, it's a harmless little amendment that both parties can easily latch onto. Like, yeah, I mean, duh, obviously, I'll adopt that. And so it was adopted.
Good.
The White House stepped in, removed it.
And vetoed it. Yeah.
Yeah, they took that amendment out. Now, why the fuck would they do that? Like,
Because ICE is the American Gestapo. That's
yeah,
why.
like because they want the ability to deport U.S. citizens if it came down to it. Because like, I mean, and who's going to stop them? They just want to have that power. It's that fucking serious. And I warned that this would eventually happen. Like, if not, the Trump administration seizing the military on American citizens, um,
Well,
then
yeah. I
some
mean,
then some sort of apparatus like doing it instead of the military, which we see that in the form of ICE. And
well,
why do you
for
think so many of those
people,
Jan Sixers were pardoned too? I bet a lot of them joined ICE.
okay, so I think for people who saw this culture coming and know their 1930s Germany history, were reluctant to call Trump trash Nazis, but now freely do.
Hmm.
I think, we all saw the police state coming and we just didn't know what form it was going to take. And
Yeah,
ICE is just the best fit because they're doing it under the false pretense of going after illegal immigrants or criminal immigrants, I should say. That's what
yeah,
they're saying. And it's like less than 5%. Hold on. Eco socialists, the pain and harm had to become personal for Latinos to finally wake up to the fact that they are not white and will never be
yep.
accepted by white supremacist MAGA and Trump. Yeah. And remember my acronym CFW BBGN. I know it's a lot, but it's Confederate flag waving, Bible beating gun nuts.
Hmm.
Okay. If you have people in your life or you want to like say define MAGA. Sometimes the simple questions get the best answers when you're talking politics. In fact, I would encourage everyone, if they get into a pinch with someone when they're talking politics, to just go with simple questions. And one of them that we've talked about before is like, do you think America is a meritocracy? Obviously, if someone says yes, then you're like, okay, probably don't want to talk to that person about politics, because if you're not there yet, if you haven't figured out the answer to that question yet, then like hang around and listen, but I'm not interested in hearing you talk. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I
I mean,
mean?
to build off of like what Eco Socialist is saying as well, this is just a mindset that is way too common among conservatives, and it's even among more dim people that aren't even politically inclined or engaged at all. It's this idea that yeah, me too, reference frame. It's this idea that, oh well, it's not affecting me, so I'm okay with it. If it makes me feel good, then I go for it. Mass deportations, and then it starts affecting those close to you, and then you're unfairly targeted, and then oh no, all of a sudden it's an issue. This happens
Because it
all.
affects you personally.
Yes, it's so fucking common in
It's weak.
conservatism. I hung out to my dad, and I love my dad. I hung out with my dad for the Super Bowl, and he laid off. He made the cliche remark regarding like mass surveillance and shit. It's like he just repeated the cliche. If you don't have anything to hide, then you have nothing to fear.
Worry about.
Yeah, it's like no. It's like that's not.
Yes, just the implicit
Hmm.
faith that I talk about in one of my essays,
Yes,
guys.
yes,
It's called uniform worship. The
yes.
right uses uniform worship. They have three false gods. One of them is the unregulated free market. Another one is the uniform.
Hmm.
And then I'm gonna figure out. I'm gonna have to look up the third. Hold on, but yeah, I mean that is just like that attitude is fascistic.
Yes,
And I wanted
like
to move. I wanted to make. You go ahead. You got something.
no,
Go ahead. I'll
yeah.
wait for your
It's
question.
this implicit idea that like if like this technology is used against other people, like the criminals or the illegals, but will never somehow it'll somehow never eventually be turned on you. It'll never eventually be used against you for some reason. It's entirely naive. Because the more authoritarian the society gets, the more willing they are to crack down on their population in increasing increasingly totalitarian ways. There's a reason why um, tech stock and weapon stock are so invested in what Israel's doing in Gaza, because we're using our new shiny toys over there
Yep.
on innocent people. You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
So the third false god of conservative citizenry is the framers slash the Constitution. So
Hmm.
it's the framers slash the Constitution, the unregulated free market, and uniform worship, including priests and judges.
Hmm.
Okay. Those are the symbol of authority that they invoke to win arguments by way of the fallacy of authority.
Yeah.
Now, don't look at logical fallacies of it as if they're some kind of gotcha. All right. Like there's been a lot on Instagram lately about like, here's 10 of the most popular logical fallacies. I think there's like 26 total. But they're not a way to dismiss an argument. They're a way to discredit or
Hmm.
at least qualify an
Hmm.
argument. For example, the fallacy of ignorance could be used to dismiss Epstein, you know,
Yeah.
before he became a big deal, maybe before he killed himself or something like that. It could
Yeah.
be like, well, we don't know what he was into. He seems like he's just a playboy that like maybe he was just perved out. It's not suggesting that like we don't really know what happened. And then the data builds up over time.
Hmm.
That fallacy of ignorance you can no longer claim.
Yeah,
So it's just
and then
I
they'll
just
like
wanted people to be smart about it.
yeah, then they'll move the goalposts, which is another fallacy. Um, when the
What list is she talking about?
yeah, put white supremacy on that
Was I
list.
stringing off something?
Uh,
Confederate flag. Confederate flag wavers are in the Confederate flag waving Bible beating gun nuts
mhm.
acronym, the CFW BBGNs. But hold on, a reference form has now you can just point to good and pretty for how the state will try to frame anyone you don't like. They don't like
Bingo.
a terrorist. Yeah, I mean that's the
Yeah.
sad truth. That's the sad truth. Is it took blood on the streets to
Yes.
win the argument, and now we've won the argument. It's
Mhm.
just a matter of time before that
Should never
win
get
is
never got to that point.
disseminated throughout the population.
Yeah.
The opposite
Exactly.
of the Constitution is prostitution. Wait.
Yep.
uh, all right.
Yeah,
Yep.
they're murders to wake up a lot of people. That's absolutely right. It should never have gotten to that point. It shouldn't have gotten to the point where,
But of
um,
course it does.
yeah,
But of course it does. It's
yeah,
America.
yeah,
It's
and we
America.
are a
40% of our country is white trash. Come on, guys. I'm telling you, it's like cancer.
yeah, and not to mention
God.
we're I guess you can, I, for lack of a better description, a visual species. Like if we see
Yes.
something happening,
It's a
it
primary sense. Yes.
yes, it registers with us a lot more than reading up on it or hearing about it. Like we like experiencing it is really is everything. Like actually engaging with it visually, and unfortunately, like if that's what it takes to wake people up, then yeah. But like you're talking about fallacies, moving on from the fallacy of ignorance, when that no longer applies, it eventually moves on to um oh god, what was it? Um I
Hold on, I
lost
got
it.
to chat. It's
Yeah.
okay. We got to chat. I am seeing America through the eyes of the Black Panthers. Reading a lot about the Black Panthers, you may have noticed. Yeah, me too. Actually, I'm not reading, but I'm trying. I have some research to do. I took a course on the 1960s when I was in college that really educated me on the civil rights movement. And the Black Panthers were always the most interesting cats to me because they were so intense and they
Hmm.
just did not apologize for being countering police intimidation with their own intimidation. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
you're going to intimidate me, I'll intimidate you too. I
Yeah.
mean, it's kind of like this is what I'm talking about. It's kind of street. Like it's kind of the only way you deal with the bully is to get up in the bully's face
Yeah.
and say no more,
Yeah, like
you know?
when they move on from the fallacy of ignorance, like, and more data comes out like proving your point. Like this is actually in the files. Look what is happening. It proves me right. This is actually real. Here's who's in it. Here's what they're doing. They move the goalposts, which is another fallacy because they can't accept being proven wrong, so they move on to other things like ad hominems are so fucking common among the right. It's like, oh well, you're woke, you're a leftist libtard, and therefore I can just dismiss anything you have to say.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
that's
like
losing steam. That's losing a lot of steam. And I actually think the
it's
left is
they're
getting
still
into ad
clinging to.
hominems a lot. I think the left is getting into ad hominems a lot. Here's the thing about ad hominems, right?
Mhm.
Uh, by themselves, they might not prove your point. But if you go deep enough on someone's psychology and profile, you can destroy them. You can expose them for what they are. Like, for
Yeah.
example, Stephen Miller, I've talked about him and Ben Shapiro this way. They're revenge nerds. They were never cool in high school. They never got the
Yep.
girl. They never won the big game. They were never popular. They were never fun. They were never the life of the party. They never got those experiences like the rest of us who, probably got those every
Yep.
now and then at least. So
Yeah.
they
Or
don't they
in
don't know how to let loose. They don't know how to have fun and enjoy people that are different from them. They're obsessed with the rules because they're authoritarians and they're entitled supremacists. It's obvious to me that they're both supremacists. If one kind or another.
Yeah.
But
It,
at the end of the day, the psychological profile for both Ben Shapiro and Stephen Miller is revenge nerd. Don't forget that. Use it in your speeches that you get into with your people.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
and that's actually a lot more common in like conservative media spaces generally as well, because it's like some of them are failed actors. They didn't make it in Hollywood. Like they're the politics of the people in media, creators in general, people who create and write things and produce and direct and all this shit. They like the left is where the art is made, and so like all the right can do is imitate art
Right.
for the most part. Like you get rare examples here and there, but they're all just fail sons of uh, one thing or another in some form of media or another, or maybe it really is all just uh, insecure inadequacies that stem from in high school where they clearly were not
Yes.
bullied enough. And they're all rich, and they all came from rich backgrounds too.
Yeah, and
That as well.
that's probably why they didn't get bullied and actually would have been
Yeah,
good for them
bullied
to
enough.
maybe
Yeah,
get bullied.
like
But
here's what my daddy will do to you if you touch me.
in those privileged LA schools, the white kids don't get touched.
Yeah,
Like, they don't get touched.
yeah.
Um
Want to end off
so
on your
what
video?
yeah, let's do that actually.
Hell yeah.
So most recently, guys, I published an essay. Just this is again, this is I know
Hell
this is gonna
yeah.
be like this is gonna be basic stuff for most of you.
Yeah, stuff that we know, but like the fact
But like I want
it's
this is why I want you guys to tell people about my channel and the essays and direct them to the essays because it really is like just the fundamentals.
yes.
It's the Larry Bird approach to politics. It's fundamentals, fundamentals, and more fundamentals. But it's sophistication too.
Yeah,
So
it's assembled brilliantly and succinctly in a way that most people can understand if they just listen and pay attention.
hold on one second. I want to deal with this. I'll also the right, particularly the far right, lack humor, which is why the
Yes.
left are more effective of using humor against the far right freaks. Yeah,
Bingo. Yeah.
usually humor's down to take down the bully, but there was this guy named Dice Clay, came out in the 80s, got banned from MTV. He
Mm,
was the original bully
mm-hmm.
humorist.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got going on in a lot of stand-up comedy circles, like around Howard Schultz or Howard Schultz. What's his name? Andrew Schultz,
Intros. Yeah.
and then Joe Rogan too. Like that's fear.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm working on that. I'm working on that. I'm trying to take advantage of that network, but it's hard.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
here
I
it
mean,
is.
and that's a lot. So like a lot of humor on the right. Just to wrap a bow on that, it really does. A lot of it does stem from cruelty, just for the sake of cruelty. You know.
Well, do you know
It.
what that goes back to though? Historically in America, it's fucked up. Do you know what that goes back to? Like the cruelty is the point. Like where that comes from?
I would assume it has something to do with segregation.
Yeah, it's lynching.
Yeah.
It's lynching.
Yeah.
That whole thesis of the cruelty is the point
Hmm.
is lynching. And
Yeah.
the proof of that is that these white trash Confederate flag wavers, okay, and most of whom were also Bible beaters, and they were definitely all gun nuts back in those days too, right? Okay.
Hmm.
The men would invite the women to dates
Hmm.
to go see the lynching. Like it was a social outing. It was like the equivalent of ancient Rome doing public executions.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was. It was that barbaric.
No, right. Yeah. I mean, whereas like I said before, the left is a lot more creative and artistic, so we can out humor them because they'll just resort to barbarism. You know.
But it's like the right wing, but like the Joe Rogan and what's his fucking name
Andrew
again?
Schultz.
Schultz, Andrew
Andrew Schultz.
Schultz. Yeah, these guys like these bully comics, like they've they're not. It's like I hope it's over for them. Is what I'm saying. I hope they get canceled.
No,
Like
sure.
they're I
Yeah.
mean at
Joe
least
Rogan's
Rogan.
in damage control.
Schultz sounds redemptive, but he's got to completely change the way he talks politics. And by that
Yeah.
I mean have guests who know what the fuck they're talking about and ask questions. Dude,
Right.
it's not that hard.
Yeah.
It's really not. I refuse to believe that a talk show where you are that big, where you can get good guests,
Mm-hmm.
is hard to run. I think
Yeah.
the biggest challenge of getting a talk show going is getting great guests
I also
because they don't want to go on small shows.
yeah, I also think it depends on
Me too,
um
reference frame.
yeah, no, I completely agree. I I'm curious as to how because this is like what people like Kyle Kalinske pride themselves on. No corporate money at all. No big money. Not funded at all by big money interests of any sort. My concern, because like if you can't change someone's mind if their income depends on keeping their mind the way it is, and I think Joe Rogan is entirely captured at this point. Look no further than
Well, it's
his
also
recent.
the social circles.
Yes,
Kalinsky just did it. Everyone check out Kalinsky's video on
yes, yeah,
Rogan that he came
yeah.
out with today. He came out with a good one and
He
showed like
so
he's just
pathetic.
his buddy now. Trump's just his buddy now. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's
and
ridiculous.
he barely even
Rogan's a
like
different person. He's not the same person he was on news radio back in the 90s.
no, yeah.
or even the guy that he was on Fear Factor. He's not that guy anymore.
Yeah, and he was
He's changed, man.
tiptoeing around the Epstein files, like entirely referring to children as underage people. It's just like, dude, like he sounds so stiff and just not like no outrage at all. He's done. He's completely captured. I can't say the same for Andrew Schultz. I don't know enough. But
Well, he's a little
if
bit repentant.
yeah,
He's a
yeah,
little repentant right
it
now,
it
but we'll see how far he goes.
usually
We'll see how
does
far he goes.
usually it really is as simple as it really does come down to who butters the bread.
But there are basic questions that anybody who has a political opinion needs to know the answers to in order for me to respect them. For example, like does Andrew Schultz know the algebraic equation for GDP, gross domestic product? I
Mm,
bet you he doesn't.
no.
You know what I mean? Like, does he know does he know what stagflation is? Does he
Mm,
know what the CPI is? Does he
yeah,
know what the difference between internal debt and external debt in our debt situation?
yeah,
Like, does he know about privatized prisons? What influential documentaries has he watched? What books is he reading? Like, I
yeah.
don't think he's a very sophisticated guy, is where I'm going with this. I
Right.
think, and I'd probably say this to his face. I mean, I don't think he has to remain this,
Hmm.
but he needs to do some serious self reflection and change his ways if he's going to no longer be this. But as of right now, Andrew Schultz is white trash.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so you would probably know better, reference frame. He was always funny saying what he thought would gain him money, clout, and power. Probably talking about Rogan.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and that, but that applies to a lot of the people in the manosphere and shit. That's for damn sure.
and by the way, there were some comments earlier about um, what's his name, Kalinsky's hair, and somebody said that they like his jacket and t-shirt look, and like, yeah, too, I do too.
If
I
he
actually
dresses up
like
good,
his, I
yeah,
actually like his dress fine. It's just the hair and the facial hair that it's just he's got to be clean shaven. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about.
he's very much like in the early 2000s kid. You know, the spiked up hair and shit, and the the earring, like it was there's a very certain aesthetic for dudes back then, young dudes, and I think
Yeah,
he
got caught
encapsulates
up in
that.
it a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, and I get it too because I remember like I was a young kid at that age and I saw a whole lot of it. I would get like when as a kid, I get like the spiked up hair, get hairspray and shit, and yeah, there's an appeal to it, like the little metal chokers.
What? Not once you marry Crystal Ball. Once you marry Crystal Ball, she's supposed to tell you to like chill out and
Yeah,
be like you're
maybe
getting
she's
into your
about it.
40s, dude. Yeah. I
Yeah,
don't know. Everyone's got crazy taste, but
sure, yeah, yeah,
I know what looks good. And
right.
and let me tell you, this is an issue that I've got with the DSA. Like when I was at the DSA convention, people took pride in not taking pride in their appearance. And I'm like, dude,
Yeah,
these people with like bellies hanging out and like like
Hmm.
weird outfits and stuff like that. I'm like, what are you what are you trying to do? Like, you trying to make me pay attention to you? But then if I pay attention to you because of those things, that it's not like it's more than just like the nose piercings and like the tattoos. Like it's more than that. It's weird shit that the left has got to get a handle on with respect to putting the right team of people together.
Sure. I
Um,
mean, maybe it's like I mean, because the left has always been about individualistic expression, and so like it might just be a self expression thing. Because I mean, when it comes to like uniformity, I guess you could say, I don't think the progressive left really encapsulates that to any real extent because if anything, um, because like for example, you hear the right go all the fucking time, like, oh, it's always some blue haired chick with a nose
right,
piercing. Just like
right.
no, it's fucking
It's
ordinary
not
looking dudes half the fucking time. Like if you actually like watch any uh fucking any reels of any remotely left uh uh content creator, it's just normal looking fucking people. They look like us, you know?
right. Yeah, but it's like, and you don't have to wear a suit and tie. I'm not saying that,
No, yeah.
but it's just like put it together and, dude, like,
Yeah,
why do you want?
sure.
It's just,
There is,
it begs questions. It's just
yeah.
be honest with yourself about like it begs questions.
I'll
People are gonna
concede.
look at you, first
Yeah,
timers to your channel are gonna be like, why is his hair like that? And
sure.
then a lot of people are just gonna tune out after that.
No,
Like, whereas Sam Cedar is stuck with the same look that's worked forever, and it's
yeah,
just like because he's the man. He's just like he's a college professor.
I do concede that like being presentable is like the bar. Like completely agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. All right, do we want to react to my video?
yeah. Let's go for it.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
This is the America's political trichotomy: conservative capitalism, neoliberal incrementalism, and progressive pragmatism.
Hmm.
An educator from my youth addressed my high school and simplified people into three categories: those who create problems, those who are immobilized by problems, and those who solve problems.
Right off the
The
bat,
last
great.
45 years have proven that there are three major categories of political ideologies in America that serve as intellectual umbrellas for more specific ideologies, such as fascism and socialism. Conservatism creates problems. Neoliberalism is immobilized by problems. And progressivism solves problems. Or at least progressives would solve problems if we ever actually acquired real power.
Yeah.
Since 1980, conservative economic policy instilled in the American public the cultural assumption that tax cuts, deregulation, and minimizing government, save the military, of course, are legitimate methods for catalyzing economic growth, the benefits of which are supposed to be distributed among the people en masse, but never are. Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, and Donald Trump all prioritized the performance of the stock market over the interests of the American public,
Hmm.
indicative of America's wealth gap and income inequality problems. Did you know that the top 10% of households own well over 90% of publicly traded stock? For an inverse perspective, the bottom 50% of American households own roughly 2.5% of all wealth in America.
Insane.
These are just two of the basic statistics any progressive can use to prove that conservative capitalism does not produce an equal opportunity society. Financially speaking, the American dream does not manifest in a high-paying job so much as it does in the investing opportunities that come from years of having income that produces savings, which are then invested over time to yield returns. Put more simply, the American dream since 1980 has devolved from living a life of purpose to living off the the returns of your investments so that you don't have to work anymore.
Yeah.
A legendary Oliver Stone film about the financial giants that played the stock market in the 80s by the name of Wall Street not so subtly criticizes the devastating cultural assumption that Reaganomics endowed America with over the course of the last 45 years. Greed is good. The
That's what we're
saddest
talking
part
about.
of my three categories of American political ideologies is that 2 out of the 3 reinforce the greed is good cultural assumption, one explicitly and the other implicitly. While Republicans have unapologetically pursued tax cuts and deregulation with their political power, so too have Democrats since Bill Clinton transformed the party of structural change into the party of neoliberal incrementalism, which politically amounts to nothing more than conservative capitulation.
Yep.
When Bill Clinton publicly pronounced the era of big government is over, he conceded the intellectual high ground that the Democratic Party still had a chance to hold. That conservative capitalism does not produce an equitable economy. Thus, the government should and must make changes to the system to make the system more equitable.
Mm-hmm.
With respect to the false binary, that is the question of whether or not government is the solution to citizens' problems or the source of citizens' problems, Bill Clinton let America forget the legacy of Franklin Delano Roosevelt's New Deal Democratic Party. Any reasonable person who knows both their American history and has reasonable comprehension of problem solving can tell you that the presence of government in society is not a question of big versus small, but rather effective versus ineffective. By proclaiming the era of big government is over, Bill Clinton conceded ideological holy ground that banished the lovable ghost of FDR from Washington and allowed the ghost of Reagan to haunt the halls of the district for 30 years and counting. Bill Clinton personifies the dichotomy of public memory versus history. According to public memory, Clinton was a sleazy guy, but an effective president. Even Bernie Sanders is on public record calling Bill Clinton an overall good president. That was during the 2016 primaries, however. So I think Bernie was probably accommodating the memory of Clinton as opposed to the history of Clinton.
Yeah.
Because according to history, Bill Clinton's policies devastated not just the Democratic Party's ideological foundation, but the foundations of America's economy, culture, and society established under the New Deal. Trade, banking, criminal justice, welfare, and the Fourth Estate were all transformed under Clinton and not for the better. History has proven that Clinton's North American Free Trade Agreement, NAFTA, would lead to outsourcing, taking away millions of good middle-class jobs over the decades. Clinton's repeal of the New Deal's Glass-Steagall legislation allowed retail banks to merge with and become investment banks.
Yeah.
The consolidation of financial institutions that would ensue exacerbated wealth inequality and produced the Great Recession of 2008. Clinton's racist crime bill devastated poor communities of color and gave way to law enforcement's culture of urban warfare, the militarization of our local police. The list of Clinton's failures doesn't end there. Clinton's welfare to work reform came from Newt Gingrich's Congress and hurt millions of poor families, both urban and rural. Finally, My personal favorite, Bill Clinton's 1996 Telecommunications Act allowed for historic levels of consolidation in media. And it transformed the public good that was news into the for-profit entertainment business news has become today. 2016 brought about the greatest internal conflict the Democratic Party had seen since Ted Kennedy challenged Jimmy Carter, a sitting president, in 1980. The 2016 Democratic Party primary race between Hillary and Bernie would take establishment versus anti-establishment to a whole new level of cultural relevance. In case you've forgotten, the DNC establishment gave Hillary every advantage they could, while Bernie tried to transform the party by focusing on big-time policies such as Medicare for all, free college, and raising the minimum wage. Without revisiting history that you can Google on your own, let's just say that that race came down to the DNC establishment telling everyone on the left it's Hillary's turn, while progressives cared anew about Bill Clinton's legendary policy failures that I just listed. And they didn't want to revisit that style of government. Hillary versus Bernie in 2016, and to a lesser extent, Biden versus Bernie in 2020, exposed the vast ideological gap that exists on the left between baby boomer Democrats who think capitalism can work and younger progressives who are starting to pay more attention to politics, only to realize that the baby boomer politicians copped out of their responsibility to improve America generation to generation. Instead, they sacrificed our futures at the altar of a deregulated free market, taking as much as they could for themselves, only to leave us holding a bag of debt. Before Bill Clinton, liberal just meant Democrat. Since Bill Clinton, liberal still means Democrat, but what it actually means ideologically is neoliberal. The original liberalism that defined the post-war left no longer exists. On the left today, there is neoliberal, which is the capitalist establishment featuring personalities such as Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries. And then there is the progressive left, which is the anti-establishment, featuring only a handful of names such as Bernie, AOC, and a few others. Underneath the label progressive, there are several subdivisions of the left, such as socialists, social democrats. I will discuss those in a future episode. Sometimes leaders work better than labels when attempting to describe the effect a certain political ideology would have on a society. If you want to simplify the umbrella label of progressive by utilizing a particularly popular figure, progressives love Zoran Mamdani. The failure that has been neoliberalism may have started with Bill Clinton, but it continued under Barack Obama. Because of the miserable end to W's second term, Obama came into the White House with more power.
This is the shakiest ground right here. Like
What?
going up and saying Obama sucked that's going to sting for a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean,
Talk about another guy who's defined by the contrast between public memory and history.
yes. Yeah. When I first watched this video, it reminded me just how fucking horrible Bill Clinton was, and how we're still recovering from his horrendous acts as president.
Than any Democrat had since the 60s. Democrats not only had the White House, they had both houses of Congress and a political wave of momentum, the likes of which the country hadn't seen since Reagan won all but Minnesota in 1984. What did the Illinois native, who had served as a senator for exactly 25 months before announcing his run for president, do with this historical level of political power? Barack
Nothing.
Obama.
Do you like how I snuck that in there?
Stuck what?
25 months. So from the time that Barack Obama was sworn in as a U.S. senator to the time that he announced a run for president was 25 months.
That's right.
Just over 2 years.
That's right.
Obama let Joe Lieberman and Rahm Emanuel talk him out of putting a public option into Obama's landmark legislation, the Affordable Care Act.
Total betrayal.
Which is something the progressive left has been begging for since FDR's Second Bill of Rights. Obama's Affordable Care Act is the definition.
This is interesting. Eco-socialist says the white left need to take off the rose-tinted glasses when it comes to Obama. Black folks took them off a long time ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's pretty popular with a lot of black people I know. He's still really popular with a lot of black folks I know and white folks. So
Yeah.
you're right.
Depends where you look.
It's not. Yeah, it's not all black folks.
It's the Democratic base in general. I mean, when it comes to Barack Obama, he's very measured in his public appearances nowadays, because if he's out there too much, people get reminded of how bad he actually was. So like he'll insert himself very sparingly, and I think that works in his favor, because I kind of do think he cares about his legacy.
Oh, he totally does.
Perceived or otherwise,
Of neo.
Yeah, he does. He totally does.
Yeah.
Obama's Affordable Care Act is the definition of neoliberal incrementalism. Rather than make healthcare a right by transforming the structure of our healthcare system and give Democrats an historic political win, Obama delivered moderate change that made the pain of a for-profit healthcare system not hurt as much. But the pain remained. Sure, Obamacare made things marginally better, especially for people with pre-existing conditions, but it still catered to the establishment of power within the healthcare industry in America, the health insurance and pharmaceutical companies.
That's right, Balthazar.
When asked years later about why he didn't push for universal health care when he had that historic level of political power, Obama said the nation wasn't ready for universal health care. That is quintessential consumer politics. That is the antithesis of leadership. And what's more is that it's a loser mentality.
Yeah.
First of all, if someone you care about isn't ready for something, what do? You make them ready, right? See, that's a winner's attitude toward change. Way better than waiting for the circumstances to be perfect. Secondly, his excuse for why he missed the political opportunity of a generation amounts to nothing more than the concerns he had about getting universal health care through Congress. He could have used his superstar status at the time to work Congress rather than getting worked by Congress. People forget just how much popularity Obama had at that time. He didn't use it because he's just so nice of a guy. Yep. Preoccupied with getting everyone to like him rather than respect him.
It was so new for everybody, too.
Clinton's deconstruction of the Democratic Party's...
What do you say?
It was so new for everybody at the time, too. So it's like, did he actually understand how popular and how much like he was and how much sway he had at the time? Or did he just want to be buddy up, like just buddy up with the establishment, and
Yeah, me
you
neither.
know,
Eco-socialist.
yeah, no, yes, yeah, he did sabotage Bernie's. Like he had every opportunity to show that he can actually fundamentally and drastically change America, and he didn't. He didn't have the balls.
Clinton's deconstruction of the Democratic Party's ideology was followed by Obama's missed political opportunity, which was followed most recently by Biden's mishandling of power. With respect to the debatably good things they did while in office, all three Democratic presidents of the last 45 years have been defined by neoliberal incrementalism.
Mm-hmm.
If you're still wondering at this point whether or not neoliberal incrementalism can work, I have an answer for you. No. Neoliberalism doesn't work because neoliberalism is just another form of capitalism, and all forms of capitalism fail to reconcile wealth, income, and social inequality.
Yeah.
Neoliberalism doesn't admit that American capitalism as we know it today has failed miserably and cannot be salvaged.
Yes, we can, but we won't.
Incrementalism has been a problem for the country since the civil rights movement. Incrementalism also runs counter to our cultural norms. Since when do Americans do anything well when they do it smaller than they should? We are a nation of big timers. We are a nation that does big things well. So the results of all that work last lifetimes. Why is it that when it comes to politics today, rhetoric almost always originates with what we can't expect from our government and society as a whole? That's weak. That's lazy. That's anti-American. Let's use the easiest and most relatable issue in all of politics to introduce what progressive pragmatism could do for America. Healthcare. The response to Medicare for all or something better shouldn't be, how are we going to pay for it? Or we can't afford it. Given that universal healthcare polls at roughly 70% and has for many years, the response from politicians should be, we can't afford not to do universal healthcare. And we should do it as soon as possible because people are going bankrupt due to medical debt. And that doesn't happen in other developed nations.
Yep.
Here's the tragic reality of healthcare in America. Because of campaign financing, healthcare companies still run the healthcare industry. Both parties are beholden to that industry, and no one in that industry wants there to be universal healthcare. So unless we see some serious ideological change within Democratic Party leadership, it's safe to say universal healthcare in America probably isn't happening until the 2030s. Unless, of course, you, your friends, your neighbors, and 80 to 90% of voters in urban and suburban areas start showing up for both primary and general elections. Stay tuned to hear how we make that happen. And never forget, you don't get change in America by asking nicely.
You tell him, Dieter.
I do think that was one of your most well delivered videos. Definitely.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that was very brilliant.
Thank you. Yeah, I put a lot of time into it. That one was quite a few months in the making.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah.
It's just, well, because it's just, there's research that I have to do. And the writing is really high level.
Mm-hmm.
Like they say Obama spoke at like a 12th grade level. Well, when I'm doing those essays, I'm speaking at a 16th grade level. Like I'm not apologizing for it. So that's the beautiful thing about YouTube essays is if you don't understand something I'm saying, you can press pause and go Google it and
Hmm.
figure out what I'm talking about. But
Sure.
yeah, it's a good one. It's the three buckets, right? So a lot of people on the left actually don't agree with what I said in that video, where they think progressives and socialists walk hand in hand, whereas I argue socialists are a type of progressive.
Yeah.
Progressive is a larger category that represents everybody who is on the left, who's not a moderate centrist, who is anti-establishment. That's what the progressive left means to me.
Yes, I completely agree with that. It's like we're not these neoliberal incrementalists like you said in the video. Like there's a distinction there, and that distinction is what matters. You know, the left broadly needs to understand that the neoliberal establishment is there to keep you out of power. So even if you're not completely ideologically aligned with other leftists, like say if you're a socialist and you're comparing yourself to a progressive, and they happen to be more electoral than you believe, than you personally believe, you're still on the same team because you don't fit the mold of the neoliberal, the neoliberal
Right.
Democrat of today. You know?
Yep.
Yeah. So I completely agree.
All right, man. Great. Well, I'm glad you do because if I was wrong about that, I would look like a real jerk. Um, so what do you want to wrap up with here?
Um, I think we covered all the bases. I mean, there's endless room to harp away at the the abhorrence and disgusting, unspeakable, decrepit nature of the files. But I think enough people are already doing that, and there's definitely room for it in the future. But other than that, big props to the gigantic wins in the special elections in Texas and Louisiana
Yeah,
that were,
hugely encouraging.
yes, 30, 40 point swings. Like if that was to apply across the board, even though those were state elections, we could see like states that traditionally are expected to go red might go blue when it comes
Right.
to these especially like in bigger races, like maybe even Senate races. We didn't even think the Senate was going to be in play come like maybe nearly a year ago, but it just might be at this point. Like if this momentum carries
Yeah,
on.
I keep telling people, I don't know what kind of left you're going to get at the end of this. I don't know. Like the pendulum's going to swing hard and the demand is going to be that it swings back really hard
Hmm.
left. But I don't know what the results are going to be. But I do know that the Democratic Party, if these states with are able to hold on to the integrity of their elections, will accumulate a lot of power in the midterms and then even more power in 2028.
Yes.
Like that's just based on the special elections. That's based on polling data. That's based on, most importantly, historical political patterns. When you have a miserable two-term Republican president like we had with W,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Whoever, we've talked about it 1,000 times. Barack Obama's greatest political accomplishment was not beating John McCain or Mitt Romney. It was beating Hillary Clinton in the 2008 primaries.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So, like, again, another thing that people need to know. The Dems could literally have shut the GOP out of elections for the past 34 years if they hadn't abandoned Main Street for Wall Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. I
and that's
agree.
the system, but that's also the system too. I mean, yeah,
Yep.
let's definitely throw the names out there, but let's make sure that we realize that the fact that those people got into positions of power was because of the system and what they were willing to do in public versus what they're actually doing legislatively.
Of course.
Policies led.
And you can't you also can't blame people for thinking that the Democrats are control opposition when it comes to their weakness, and they're unwilling to fight and stand strong on what the base wants them to do.
Yep. All right, man. Well, that was a hell of a show. I think an hour and 40 is good.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for paying attention. Please like, share, subscribe. Could really use the extra subscribers. I know that like over 80% of my audience are people that aren't subscribed. So it's pretty brutal. But I'm going to start cutting up shorts again because those got a lot of attention this week.
Yes. I
Yes,
think I might
this
have to
is
start doing
yes
that
another
too.
thing, Balthazar. Yes, this is another thing that people need to come to terms with. Pelosi's reputation has to go down. In addition, yeah, I mean that's again. Remember the three will end with a Dieter three, right? Politics is Star Wars, policy is Star Trek, political marketing is Jurassic Park because you got to kill dinosaurs, and the dinosaurs we got to get killed are Clinton and Reagan. Start there. There are others,
Yeah.
but those are the big ones. We take them down, then we'll be good. All
Yeah.
right, guys. Yeah, you take care, Eco Socialist Reference Frame. Thanks
Thank
for
you
hanging
guys
out.
again. Thank you
Love
guys
you
so much for
guys.
joining. Thank you.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And please, and never forget that you don't get change in America by asking nicely.
Guys, have a good night. We'll see you next week.